This episode of the MOC Squad was filmed in front of a live, members-only audience. Well, greetings, Rob, and greetings, imagination connoisseurs.
Well, hello.
How's it going?
Well, it's still 100 degrees here. So it's like it's been 100 degrees, I feel, since June, maybe since the end of May. The entire time I've been recording voices and working on True Noir, it's been 100 degrees, which is kind of great because I keep losing weight. I can drink more and eat as much as I want because I just sit here editing and there's a puddle of water.
Isn't that kind of part of the whole hard-boiled aesthetic? You know, it's at night, the detective in his office, and it's sweaty and gross. He's got the flow fan going on the ceiling.
But this is Chicago, man. This is it's not like Blade Runner in LA. This is Chicago. It's supposed to be cold and windy and wet, and I keep waiting for the cool breeze, which is why my water intake is increased exponentially.
Well, that's always good for you, Rob. That's always
it is. Thing. It is eggs, beef, water, and pistachios. That's about it.
Diet of champions, right there.
Truly,
we're gonna start the Burnett diet.
Keto, carnivore, call it what you want. I mean, pistachios are great source of protein, good for the body. The problem is they're hideously expensive, and you have to put the shells somewhere.
Yeah, and buying them shelled is even more expensive. So
it's
kind of cost prohibitive, right? So, yeah. All right. Well, Rob saw The Substance. I think for myself, I want to say it's the movie of the year. I have
what a hoot.
Thoroughly enjoyed that movie, and I gave it a rousing standing ovation when it ended. So it was.
I did too. But there was no one in my theater yet. Although it's still playing at our local theaters, so it's obviously doing some business.
Yeah. I think.
It's really. I did a show on it, and there's a lot of like horror fans that say, "Oh, it's just an amalgamation of a bunch of stuff that came before. Like it's garbage."
Okay.
And I'm like, but it's an amalgamation of good things that have come before, and seeing it made from. I really liked her first film, Revenge.
Yes.
And which is a great rape. Well, can you say a rape revenge movie is great? I don't know, but there's a long tradition of it going back to movies like Last House on the Left, and even before that, The Virgin Spring and things like that. But her first film was terrific. Revenge was terrific. And
but this movie, from an artistic point of view, she's elevated her game big.
It's like the Blade Runner of body horror movies.
Yeah. I mean, it's artistically is way beyond. She definitely in both movies shows a propensity for loving huge amounts of blood on the screen.
God bless her. Well, it's funny, the French, I mean, over the last 10, 15 years, the French filmmakers, everything from High Tension to Inside to, of course, the wonderful film Martyrs. I mean, there's been so many French extreme examples of horror, frontiers. And I think this is another great example of that. And the female French filmmakers, however you pronounce her last name, Frege. And then there's also Titane Raw, and I feel terrible because Elizabeth and her mom are native French speakers, and every time I open my mouth, I say a French word and they just get all over me. That's not how it's pronounced. Can't even say these French names. I mean, I'm having enough time saying folie du.
Folie du. I know.
Folie du.
All right, we got a buzzing waiting room here of people wanting to join us in the call. So I'm gonna go ahead and let them all in here. Let's go ahead and admit our friends. Welcome everybody. Here we go. The parade of stars, the cascade of members. Remember, you can become a member of the Burnettwork for as little as $1 a month. And among the benefits that gives you is the ability to join us on these calls when we do them.
You can be one of the evil dead. Join us.
And then for those of you who are here today participating, we're probably going to be streaming for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then we will also be continuing the call after we are done streaming until we're done with everybody's questions. And when you come in, remember on the Zoom link that we have sent you, you'll be able to raise your hand so you can get added to the queue here. So let me go ahead and change perspective. We always like to see everybody jumping in, but now I'm going to change it back. And Zoom now has a multi-speaker view, Rob, which is kind of nifty. So
really,
when like two people are talking, I think it should automatically go to those two people talking. We'll see if it works or not.
Yeah, I'm just put on the view as multi-speaker.
Yeah, and it should.
Let's see if it works.
A switch over where it shows, like I said, multiple people speaking. We'll see if it doesn't work. I'll work on it and make sure that I'm focusing on the primary speakers here. But to kick things off, we have the man from Argentina himself. Don't cry for him. It is Andy from Argentina. You should be able to join us now, Andy. Welcome.
Yeah, hola, Roberto.
Hola.
You both have the same name. It's Roberto and Rob.
That's right, but you can call me Roberto. Oh, look, it works. Multi-speaker works. There you go. Jump on in.
You are Rob. I'm going to call you Rob.
I know. It's fine.
You know what? I was thinking the other day because I saw your last episode and I wanted to chime in the how we consume art, discussion. And I would like to tell you a little bit about myself, about what kind of art I like and the way I perceive it. All right?
Please do. I love that.
As you always say, everybody has a story, right? So I most likely like heavy metal music. I'm talking about art in general. So I'm not talking about heavy metal like Black Sabbath or whatever. I'm talking about hardcore. I'm talking about Slayer, Pantera, the old stuff of Metallica. That's me, all right? If you come with me with Motley Crue and Poison, I say get out of here, all right? I'm that, And when it comes for movies, my jam is I like science fiction, but I like science fiction action movies,
Right.
Like the ones that I love the most are not like comic book movies or science fiction fantasy, although I do like them, but I like movies like Predator, like Aliens, like the Terminator. Those are me, So if I say that I'm going to give Star Trek a try, and I would like to check it out for myself after 9 years of listening to you, I'm a heavy metal science fiction action fan who's actually trying to absorb Star Trek. I'm not you. You know what I mean? I'm not.
But there's a couple heavy metal episodes of the original Star Trek series.
I don't know. I don't have your memory. Yes.
I mean, have you seen Balance of Terror? When the Romulans,
all of them.
Okay, when the Romulans sneak across,
1 time each.
Right. But when the Romulans sneak across the Federation border and start blowing up Federation outposts, and the Enterprise has the Doomsday Machine.
But what I'm trying to say is that because I'm used to listening to that kind of music and watching those movies, it's my taste. But it's also what I'm used to. So then, if I watch a movie like, I don't know, an Ang Lee trilogy, or if I see, Psycho, or the first Alien instead of Aliens, you know what I mean?
I totally do
like them. But the way I'm going to analyze those movies and the way I'm going to compare or maybe try to think what I loved about those movies, it's going to be really different than your opinion.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that.
And that's why last time when I said, Star Trek 3, I thought it was kind of boring. And when I compare that with OG fans, it's like maybe I was insulting somebody, or I don't know. But
No.
the thing is that it's the way I perceive it because of what I'm used to and my way of absorbing that art, So if I put somebody to listen to Angel of Death by Slayer, or the whole Rain in Blood album, which is the most heavy metal album in all time, those people that maybe like Duran Duran and Prince, I'm not talking about you, Rob, but the thing is that those people aren't going to listen to Angel of Death and are going to see it. All right, is there any part where the singer actually sings, or is all shouting? And I don't listen that way. I said, no, it is singing. He is singing.
Right.
And also, that's not noise. That's music. And some other people will say, no, that's noise. Just let me know when the music starts. You know what I mean?
But I think, like what I always say, you have to know, like, if you just listen to, I think if you listen to art or music and you don't have any context as to what you're listening to, and you just jump in and immediately the dissonant chords you're going to reject it. Yeah. And that's why I always say, I believe that certain art is objective, and everyone always throws back at me, well, Robert, it's all subjective.
I agree with you, man.
And I'm like, art isn't subjective. Your opinion is subjective.
My opinion.
And your education as to the art you're consuming is going to define whether or not you like it. It doesn't necessarily define whether the art is actually good.
Because you also have proof. Because if some art lasts through time, it endures, then that's for some reason, apart from genocides and stuff that we remember because history needs to be remembered. That's okay. But if we talk about maybe Angel of Death or Rain in Blood, you say, oh, that's noise, that's not music. All right, but you should know. Maybe you don't know. Maybe the people who watching this channel doesn't know. But a whole generation of drummers, tried double bass drumming because of Dave Lombardo from Slayer. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We're talking about something that could be considered, noise. But we have a whole generation of new music people that love that, and they don't consider that noise. That's the way they perceive that kind of art. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why sometimes I apologize too much about, I saw Star Trek, but please forgive me if I don't remember something, or I say that I like this more than I love that.
Well, you don't, but I don't think you have to apologize. I mean, most people don't consume art over and over and over and over and over again. And I think that part of art is that initial, how it initially affects somebody experiencing it for the first time. Yeah. And I think, look, I've always thought that art, when you go to a museum, I always like to read, read at least if there's an explanation about the painter, what era they lived in. I always like to read, or take, go a docent tour or something, so I can have some kind of context to know what I'm looking at. Otherwise, people are like, that's a nice picture. Did you do that?
No.
That was amazing. I don't know who did that, but
I thought that is because our time is out.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's the time. I forgot. There's an option on the timer for music. It's kind of like at the Oscars.
I know, that was amazing. I love that. I'm like, that's incredible.
I've usually turned it off in the past, and I forgot to turn.
No,
it
you got to
on.
leave that on. That's amazing.
You leave it on. Okay. Well, Andy, your time is up.
So we know.
But Andy, but it's a good point. I mean, I keep talking about that a lot. I mean, and I do believe, I do believe, especially when it comes to music, there are certain chords, or I think about classic guitar riffs, that have an effect on you. And there is something going on with consciousness and physical perception. And it's something that is beyond our understanding. I mean, I really do believe that. And that, because, there are things, and of course, it's too new agey to talk that way. But eventually, I believe that we are going to be scientifically able to see I mean, the reason like mathematics applies to the great symphonies, and you can see mathematical progressions and things happening. I don't necessarily think the great composers knew that they were even doing it, but they were tapping into something that is part of the structure of the universe. I remember reading a book when I was in college called it wasn't Jung, it was it's called Patterns in Nature. And it was showing patterns like the interior of a seashell and then a galaxy, those the spirals and the golden ratios and all that, and how it appears on the largest structures of the universe and the smallest structures of the universe. And that's if you believe in a designer or God or just the way the universe gets ordered, I think that's true of art. But we're not able to, we can't get past our own prejudices against that to understand that there's human beings are doing things that are tapping into whatever that universal structure is. We're just beginning to scratch the surface of our own existence. So yeah, it's an interesting thing though.
All right. Well, let me sorry, the views are the multicam view is being a little I'm wondering if it's kind of a beta feature because it's being a little reactive here, but I'll
just turn on the gallery.
I'll keep the music going. I didn't realize.
Yeah, the music is the best. I'm gonna have a little got my little drink.
Just like the Oscars. That's so much fun. All right.
Fantastic.
We have so sorry if the camera keeps messing around. I'm just kind of doing some tweaking with the cameras here so that we can have the speakers join and share the screen with Rob. And we've got Justin Toner coming up next. So Justin, welcome. You should be able to join us now.
There we go. Hello.
What's up, dude? How are you?
I'm doing all right. Just been very busy. Also, I have to. Usually, I'm working Saturdays, but I have this Saturday off, so that's why it's like I haven't popped up much on these for a bit because of my current schedule. But I lucked out today. As like I took today off, and I was like, oh, cool. It's like we're having the MOC Squad today. Cool. So I get to pop in and say hi. I've been behind on the movie watching, and it's like I don't know what I'm gonna go watch. I mean, it's like I thought about going to see something horror related like The Substance, but it's like I'd prefer to have someone with me. But most people I know, my friends, are not into like horror, that kind of horror like I am. It's like although well, he's kind of busy right now.
Just tell him The Substance is social commentary.
Yeah. Wasn't gonna go see Joker. It's like already hearing that. So I had a D cinema score today. That's really bad.
It's worth seeing. I'll tell you that. I thought it was worth seeing.
Okay.
It's just not what you want it to be.
That's what I'm hearing some people say.
It's the exact opposite, which is why I have to respect it. And it's beautifully made.
Okay. Yeah, I've been seeing some mixed reactions to it, so it's very fascinating. But I bought some stuff this past week. I haven't been buying too much, just here and there, just because
I know.
Just trying to save money. It's like it's too hard, much. But I know. But it's like I wanted this. It was the prices were low enough, so finally I got Doom Part 2 on 4K.
Plus, that disc is amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
And then last weekend, after John Aston passed, I realized, although I had Beverly Hills Cop #1 in 4K, I didn't have #2. So this was also only like $20 on Amazon. So
another great disc. Looks great.
Yeah. I heard that the transfer of this one was really nice, and this one is more of a guilty pleasure. Have you ever seen this movie, directed by the late Albert Pune, Mean Guns?
I have never seen that. Although I did edit an Albert Pune movie.
This is like one of those guilty pleasure movies. It's not a good movie.
Yeah, people keep saying that they like it though.
What it is?
I've never seen it.
The basic premise is that Ice-T lures a bunch of criminals to a new jail that's about to be opened, and basically is like, you've all betrayed my organization some way, so but I'll give you a chance. He goes, he gives them all a bunch of weapons and bases. Like whoever's left alive after so much time gets like money and gets to live. And Christopher Lambert plays one of like a crazed assassin. His performance is one of the best parts of the movie. He's really going out there. Is like his character is like a complete whack job. But he
Sounds good to me. I'll watch that.
You probably would like it. It's a fun movie. It hasn't been on it was released on Blu-ray finally like a while ago by MVD here. And I like the retro like VHS style kind of slipcover they got here for this.
Oh yeah.
But it's got an audio commentary from Albert and some interviews with people who worked on the movie. So it's got some nice special features. So this was like $10. So it was a steal.
Nice. Yeah. There's so much good stuff coming out on disc. I can't keep up.
The Godzilla -1 exclusive from the Godzilla store. Oh my God, the transfer on that was
amazing.
It's gorgeous.
It's amazing.
I didn't go see the black and white version. I don't think it was around. I don't know if they screened it where I am in New York, but that was one of the reasons why I wanted to get it, because it's got the minus color. That version is the only one where you can get minus color, because the other 4K and Blu-ray releases don't only have just the regular theatrical version.
Yeah, I know.
So
no, that's one of the releases of the year, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
I saw that although the booklet is in Japanese, the Godzilla store put out a free download of the booklet translated into English for people who like want to.
Yeah, I mean, I recommend that Google Translate app on your phone, where you literally just pass, however you set it up, you just pass your phone over and it immediately changes the letters into English. You can read. You can read now. I used to be like, I don't want to buy a German media book. I'm like, nope, I'll buy anything now from any country, because you can literally instantaneously read any language. It's unbelievable. I've been using it to build my Japanese Partworks kits, the Space Battleship Yamato Partworks kits, which I could never build without that translation device. But it's amazing. Like, I read the entire French To Live and Die in LA book that came with that DVD or the Blu-ray that I bought. I mean, it's that technology is amazing. I wish I could get like an iPad where I could have a bigger screen. It's hard to, your phone's easy because you can pass it right over the text, but it's amazing. And that's how I was reading the booklet, all the stuff that comes in that book, that box set.
Yeah. That set is like one of my favorite releases of the year. It's just fantastic.
Oh, it's amazing.
So glad I pre-ordered that. As soon as I got word of it, I was like,
yeah,
take my money. Take my money. This was going to happen next month with Criterion releasing Seven Samurai and OG Godzilla in 4K. Thank God the Barnes & Noble sale will be back. That'll help save some money.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's funny because I just got the last stuff I ordered from the last Barnes & Noble sale.
Yeah. It was so many celebrity deaths this past week. It was like
I can't believe it, man. The Grim Reaper must need a few souls. He must have been in a bind because he was way behind, so he's looking to make a deal. I don't know.
You're right. It's like the Dikembe Mutombo one, the basketball player was really sad because it's brain cancer. It's like,
I know. But all these people had really good lives.
Yeah, a lot of them, like Maggie Smith and which also was a little sad, but that man was like, well, I'm glad they made that last Beverly Hills Cop movie before he passed. It was like, I thought he was one of the best parts of it. I loved his performance in Axel.
He was great, and I really loved him in stuff like in Midnight Run and also Some Kind of Wonderful. He was great as Eric Stoltz's dad in Some Kind of Wonderful.
I remember him as the evil general wants to kill King Kong and King Kong lives.
Yeah.
It's like he gets to get killed by King Kong.
Yeah,
that movie's not good, but
no, it is not good.
It's like it's sad too, especially because Linda Hamilton's in that one, and it's like like John Eston's trying, but it's like it's not a good movie. Oh, my time's done. I like
That's
it.
never not gonna crack me up, man.
No, that's gonna be fun.
That's so fun.
We are calling you on the table here, Justin. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
today.
Always good to see you, man.
I'm
so
leaving it
funny.
now. I'm not taking it off. I had always been so like discreet about it, keep making sure it was turned off. Hey Rob, we have a super chat. I forgot to mention to folks, if you want to drop super chats or tips, we'll.
Oh
take
yeah, I
them
should look at
during
the tip
show.
link. I always
Here.
forget to do that.
But this one, I'm not sure if I understand it. Maybe it's something you discussed that I am not catching. But it says, does anyone else make custom cases? Sorry, it's from Donut Lord, who's been a member for 4 months. Does anyone else make custom cases? For instance, I have Blu-ray for animation, but I still have the 4K disc in them to have it all. Thanks, Rob. Not really sure what he means by that.
Wait, read that to me again. Well, wait, I've got it right here.
Yeah, and maybe Donut Lord can.
Does anyone else make custom cases?
Clarify.
I mean, there's all kinds of people that do custom cases, but I'm not sure. Are you looking for the plastic cases themselves? Because there's different options. You can go buy them, but you usually have to buy them in bulk, like not single cases. Like I always buy the protector, the sleeve protectors for my steelbooks and 4Ks. But yeah, you just have to look around, look in terms of what you're looking for. And there are people that make. People are starting to make custom steelbook cases.
Wow,
which is pretty dope.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like I want to get every movie in a custom steelbook. That's all I need. That's all I need is to be like, oh. Custom steelbooks, huh? I think I should get all of my collections, all of my 4Ks in custom steelbooks. That's the ticket. Yeah. And then, of course, I have to save the original packaging because I'm insane.
In the board game communities, there's custom pieces for your board game. So if you want to like upgrade from just having like regular pawns to figurines, and in some cases, the kit to customize the board game is more expensive than the game itself.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, but that's what I love. I love we live in this world. I mean, I've almost other than like action figures, it's almost more interesting to live in a world where you buy custom bespoke stuff from people online.
Yeah.
You know, like I have a box, I have a packet of 6-scale red apple cigarettes from Quentin Tarantino's movies, Red Apples. And there's individual cigarettes in them in 6 scale. You know, somebody on Etsy made it. Click.
Yeah. Donald Lord is clarifying that he meant all discs in one package. So I meant having all discs in one package.
Yeah, you can find those. I mean, I know what you mean. Like, let's say I was looking for like like the Super Friends package. You know, you can put, although it's hard, you know, to get to. No, you don't know. This package is so flimsy. You know, they don't. I wish that they made collector packaging that was more durable.
Yeah,
but it depends. But it's things like anime. I mean, I would say look into your favorite because somebody probably made it.
Yeah,
if it's popular.
And on Etsy, I wouldn't be surprised if people repurpose some of those things. Like, hey, there was some box set or something, and then they can strip it down and make something new out of it. So
100%.
All right, we've got Adam coming up next. Adam, welcome to the chat. You should be able to join us now.
Hello.
What's up, dude? How's Germany?
How you doing? All right. My sound okay?
How's fatherhood?
That's wonderful. That's fine.
You sound great, by the way.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm stuck at home. I got the corona for the first time in years.
Well done.
So, yeah, it's great. But hey, I'm quarantined in my little cave, so it's fine.
That means you can just watch whatever you want. No one can come in and stop you from doing it.
Exactly.
You don't have to take out the garbage. You don't have to do the laundry. You don't have to cook dinner. You don't have to make coffee. You don't have to feed the dogs.
Don't have to talk about my day.
Fantastic.
It's wonderful. Yeah. I like it. I've just been tagging and archiving MP3s, which is my hard drive is a well-organized MP3.
Which I bet is actually something you love doing.
Oh, it's the best.
I know, right?
Yeah. Because then you rediscover stuff you didn't realize you had, and it's like having books on the shelf. Sometimes the fact that you might not have read it, but you know it's there, So you already know something about it.
That's my guiding principle of life. As long as I know I have it.
Yeah.
I know it's there.
But you know why you have it, and it reminds you, and it keeps you. It's on the. Sometimes its job is just to be on the shelf. Yeah, and it's going to stay there. But you were talking about the last about objective art.
Yes.
The idea of when sound, is it, and the guy from Argentina was talking about, is Slayer noise or is it music? To some people, it's just noise. I'm a big fan of the idea of objective goodness in art. And I remember there was many 10 years ago, probably, on Radio Lab. There was a special on the Rites of Spring, the Stravinsky piece.
Right, sure.
The dinosaur music from Fantasia, for those,
which I would call objectively great.
Objectively great. But when it got debuted, it caused the famous riot. It debuted, by the way, 111 years ago, 1913.
Wow.
And their thesis, well, they were basically saying that at the times, dissonant tones like that hadn't been heard before. People were not used to it, and they had no way to process it. And that it actually hurt their brains, that it was painful to listen to, because they'd never heard anything like it before, and they hadn't been trained to process it, which is probably how a lot of people, modern people, feel watching old Star Trek episodes. It's painful.
Oh, well, I totally agree with that. And, I've been talking a lot more on the channel about watching movies and listening to music is a skill.
Yeah.
It is a learned skill. And a lot of people don't quite get that. And again, that means somebody has to do work. And I had to learn. I know this from when I was going to see a lot of foreign films at the Seattle International Film Festival in the 80s. There were times when I found a lot of these films boring, and I didn't like the fact that I found films boring. So I trained myself. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go in and I'm going to sit down, and I made an actual effort to absorb what I was seeing in whatever way it was given to me. So I would work at it, and I found that I enjoyed these movies a lot more when I came to them on their own terms. And but again, that you have to work. You have to decide to do that work, and it's always gratifying. It's people that grow up like I used to grow up, and I hate country music. Well, that's because I never listened to it. And then I went back and started listening to the history, going back to like Hank Williams, and moving forward. I always liked jazz, but going back and listening to the evolution of jazz is an amazing thing, and plus it's joyful.
Yeah.
Going back into art history is a joyful experience.
It's amazing. Yeah. And it's a skill. It took me a while to get there. I've been there for a long time, but I'm still always working on it. I used to be, I don't like it. I think it's bad, and so now it's like, is it crap or do I just not like it? And a lot of stuff is like, it's really great. It's there, it's great music, but not for me. But you can still appreciate it on that level. And there's a big difference between that and just, oh, they're terrible.
Well, and that's why I don't trust. Human perception is absolutely subjective. And people are going to like what they like, and they're not going to like what they don't like. And that's why I don't trust anyone to just, when somebody says they write like I hate jazz, I'm like, I can't listen to you then, because if you say that and just dismiss an entire genre of music, that means you haven't listened to it and you don't understand it. And so I'd much rather hear somebody, and I've been seeing what's great about the internet is people you can find, like, just look up what are 5 great or 10 great introductory jazz albums, and start from there. And we live in, but nobody's doing that.
No, they watch what comes. I don't think many people really aim to get into something. It's just kind of what comes. Most people are pretty passive, they're pretty passive. They take what the algorithm gives them these days. What's thrown in their face.
I just finished a science fiction novel called Quarantine by Greg Egan that I had never even heard of. And I just went on YouTube and I was looking for new science fiction books, or I don't know if I put in hard science fiction novels to read, and sure enough, some guy pops up, here are 10 hard science fiction novels you should read. and it was on that list, and it sounded interesting. It was 251 pages. I was just like, click. I didn't even read the back of the book when I got it. I just started reading, and it starts out as this detective story, and where it wound up was fucking mind blowing. I'm still grappling with what happened at the end of this. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, it got so heady by the end. This 250-page book completely took me on a journey. I had no idea where it was going. And when it started to be revealed, it totally put the zap on my head. I'm like, wow.
What's it called again? I'm going to write it down.
It's called Quarantine by Greg Egan.
Greg Egan. Okay.
But don't read anything about it.
I won't. That's often the best. I had the same Matrix experience like you did. I saw it blind. So there's gold in those hills. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I kind of think that's how, when, the filmmakers are making that, they want you to not have seen it. They want you to not know anything about it. And going in cold, it was such a transcendent, it was such a fun experience.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. You're all wonderful.
Yes,
awesome.
wonderful.
I feel like Kramer walking off
the Adam. I almost did what John Travolta did there and called you by a different name. But thank you for joining us today.
Cool, guys. Bye-bye.
Good to see you, man. You can talk after. I mean, if you have more to say, you don't have to leave. It's not like we're draconian with the music.
All right. Brian Erdy is coming in next. Welcome, Brian. Let me unmute you here. Welcome, Brian. You should be able to join us now.
All right, I'm on.
Yes, you are.
How's it going, man?
What's going on with you?
Not too much. Did you by chance see the YouTube link I sent you?
You have to refresh my memory because
okay.
Oh, you mean the one for the cat people music?
The cat people recreation.
I was very impressed by that. It's pretty impressive. Although it doesn't sound exact. Only because I don't know if it possibly could. But then again, I'd have to go listen to I haven't watched the movie in a while. So maybe it is exact.
It's close. I mean, it's a recreation and it's close.
Yeah.
But it's I think it's just glorious. I wanted that to
that's insane. I mean, I was thinking about that, like how long would he have to listen to that in order, like how many times do you have to go back and listen to that and then try and get the instrumentation exactly right?
And this guy is a master at it because
so you got to tell everybody what we're talking about.
So
because it's just insane.
So the sound,
in a good way.
Yeah. 1982, Cat People. The soundtrack is by Giorgio Moroder. And it's the LP, cassette, CD, all of it is different from the music you actually hear in the film. The soundtrack that was released, the cuts are longer, they're more produced, and they're just different. And it's amazing score. We've talked about it on this channel.
But also music does get edited for film. Like a composer will do a track and then we're editing our soundtrack for True Noir.
So
necessity.
Yeah, and I mean that's a part of the process as well. And I just I was working with the guy that is my composer. He's working on the music for Beyond MySpace, and he recreated some Day of the Dead musical motifs to incorporate into it. It's
from the score. Is it John Harrison score?
He took
for Day of the Dead
of the John Harrison score and wove it into my MySpace theme, and it's crazy. I can't wait for you to hear it. And when we finished up with it, he was like, "What's next? What do you want to do?" And after hearing that and how well it sounded, I was like, could you recreate this piece of music from the Cat People score that no one on the internet has ever done that before for this particular cut? And
because it's insane.
It's insane. And
but delightfully so. Delightfully so.
Yep. And that's what he came back with, and I thought it was great. He did two versions. He did one where he's got the Malcolm McDowell narration in it, and then he did it where he took that out. So I've got the two versions of it. But if anyone's interested, let me know, and I'll send you the
It's pretty great. The link it's pretty great.
So last weekend was yet another Atlanta toy show.
Uh-oh.
And I got some loot. And one of the things you go to these toy shows and they have these very well displayed, all of their products that you can tell some people have spent some serious time setting up.
Yeah.
But the vendors I love are people that went through their basement and threw a bunch of stuff into tubs and they set it out and you have to kind of root through it.
Yeah.
And one of these vendors had some stuff that I picked up that I was very excited about. First one, I have never had either one of these novelizations. The Thing by Alan.
Oh, and you got the dope ass cover. That's the cool cover.
Yeah. And the other one was, and you know what a fan I am of this movie because I'm constantly talking about it, Capricorn 1.
Oh yeah. I had that.
And I wanted to get the book just because I wanted to see if it answered one of the questions that I had about that movie that never seems, it's implied, but I was curious about, in Capricorn 1, the two astronauts that get caught first, O.J. Simpson and then Sam Waterston.
Yeah.
Brolin goes on to escape and
what do they do with those two astronauts?
What did they do? Did they just outright kill them, or did they hold them back like in a safe house just in case? Because if Brolin makes it to civilization, which he did, you now have two murders on your hand. A conspiracy notwithstanding.
I always thought as a kid too that they were murdered.
Yeah. Well,
does it say in the novelization, or have you not read it yet?
It does not. I blew through it over the week, and it does not. Which was kind of disappointing because again, it's nerd stuff nobody cares about. But I'm
but you know what? It's funny. I've thought the same thing. Like, did they kill him? I think they did. I think the movie strongly because they're trying to kill all three of them. And they the way that they, look, still Hal Holbrook's 5-minute speech in that movie is one of the greatest things ever.
Yeah. Not
the president. The vice president and his plump wife.
I'd understand if it was a new Lucy, but right. A rerun.
But reruns. I can't wait to get that new box set because I've never seen. I didn't know that there was a second version of that. I guess the Japanese version.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's. And somebody was telling me, I don't know. It might have been Neil. My friend Neil, who said that there's a track on the actual soundtrack album that's from that deleted scene. It's like the docking scene or something. And I'm like,
yeah.
And getting that imprint box set, woohoo!
I know I've got it ordered, but I haven't gotten it yet.
No, either. I don't think it's out yet.
So the last couple goodies I picked up from this cat was I was very proud of my Jurassic Park collection display, and the only thing that was missing from all the characters of the film was Dr. Wu. No, Hasbro, to my knowledge, never made a Dr. Wu action figure. Well, actually, they did. They have apparently this was
It's okay. We can go on. This Dr. Wu revelation is, and he's the guy that came back in Jurassic World.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's this like website exclusive that you have to order apparently, and it not only comes with Dr. Wu, but it comes with Mr. DNA.
Wow.
The little animated guy.
Oh yeah. No, I know.
So I was like, great. All right, we're good to go. And the last thing I picked up, and I'll leave you with this. I had heard that these things existed, but this guy had a big collection of Star Wars Weekly. This is the Marvel comic that was released in England.
Wow.
Instead of releasing them monthly, they would release them every week. So you end up having tons and tons just to get through the first 6 issues. It takes like 18 or whatever the count is. But again, I'd never seen these in the States before. And
No, that's dope.
I bought them all.
You should get those slabbed.
Yeah.
Get them clean and slabbed, just because they can hang them on your wall.
Cool. Thank you for the time. Good to see you. And
always good to see you, Brian. You and I are definitely
Brian.
birds of a feather.
All right. Okay. There's other jingles too. I can swap out the jingles in between just to see it. What surprising song comes up.
That's so funny.
We'll see which other ones we can try out. All right. Anthony P is joining us now. Welcome, Anthony.
Hey, Rob. How you doing?
How are you, man?
I'm
Good to see you.
A lazy Saturday. I'm doing well. Doing good. Good to see you as always.
when I lazy, it makes me think of that Lazy Sunday rap from Saturday Night Live. The Chronicles of what?
Right.
Narnia.
I had 2 questions I wanted to bring up and ask you. My first one was, okay, Night of the Living Dead question and Joker 2 question.
Wow.
I know, right?
Lay it on me.
All right. Dwayne Johnson, who played Ben in Night of the Living Dead, I thought was obviously probably like one of the most underrated Black actors that never really got his just due after that.
And do you know that he wasn't necessarily, that character was not necessarily supposed to be Black? He wasn't Black in the script.
I think I might have heard something about that, but I wasn't 100% sure about that.
He was great.
He was excellent.
And what a great decision. Sometimes it's kismet, you make these.
Right. Yeah, and I was going to ask you, like, at the end of the movie, we all know what happens to him. And I think the most shocking thing about the end of the movie, probably the most shocking thing to me, was like the pictures that they showed of his body getting hooked and thrown into
man.
I was going to ask you, what do you think, being that the time era, 1967, 1968, if he would have never got shot and that all-white sheriff squad, police squad would have found him, do you think that there would have been a whole different entire racial element involved in that, or they would have humbly rescued him and brought him to safety? Like, what's your thoughts?
That's a really great question.
Yeah, I was watching that movie I think it was 2 weeks ago, and I was like, next time Rob is on, I gotta ask him.
That's a really great question. Because those sheriffs, and it's same is true in Dawn of the Dead, they're basically portrayed as hicks. Like, I love the sheriff who says, yeah, they're dead, they're all messed up, Right. But I would like to believe that if he didn't die, when the priest, the Puerto Rican priest in Dawn of the Dead says, when the dead walk, senors, we must stop the killing or lose the war. I would like to believe that the hick sheriffs would have had respect for him for surviving,
for the living,
for surviving the onslaught of the dead, because I would say that in a way, racial politics has always been a part of what Romero is doing. Whether, and overt or not overt. I think that, it's really interesting when people talk about nowadays, everyone's talking about woke this, woke that, but we were on a great evolutionary path to becoming much more accepting. And it's only been since the rise of social media that everybody has decided that the West is a terrible, terrible place to be and America's awful. But you go back and you look at a movie that was made in 1968, a movie that became a big independent hit, where you had a Black man outliving all of the white characters. And then at the end, the irony is that he's mistaken, for a zombie they didn't know. And it's an unbelievable tragedy that he survived literally hell on earth only to be destroyed by man again. Right. And I think if he lived, I don't think the movie would necessarily would have been as powerful. And I don't know if, being rescued by white saviors, so to speak, would have had the impact. I think what happens is you feel more for him because he's accidentally killed.
Right.
And people don't realize what he accomplished, how he lived through the night.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's a shocking ending.
Very shocking.
And I think that I don't know if anybody would have got a message out of it that he was, rescued by the white hick police. Because I do like the ending of, I think Night of the Living Dead has one of the great endings of any
it does.
horror film. And again, I really see Night of the Living Dead as a watershed moment in horror. That movie changed horror forever. I think it was one of the first, they call it the Vietnam era of horror, but it definitely was that Vietnam era of horror. And we were not very far. We're just a few years away from the death of Martin Luther King. I don't remember. I think Malcolm X as well.
Mhm.
And so that choice was so audacious at the time. And for Romero to do it, like, he was like, well, he's the best actor.
Yeah.
And it's said, I've read so much about these movies that I do think he was aware, though. Come on, you couldn't have been not aware that you were making an audacious choice.
Right. Especially in that era.
Yeah, totally.
And my Joker 2 question, I haven't seen the movie, but I've heard the spoilers and everything. And seeing that the trajectory of the movie is looking like it's not going to do good whatsoever.
No.
How do you think that this will affect the momentum for James Gunn going into his era of what he's bringing forth in the next couple months, the next year? Do you think it's going to have a serious effect or not so much?
No, I don't think it will at all, because the movie is so far removed from what James Gunn is doing. I really think that James Gunn is going to give us something that we've been living in, an era where superhero movies, it's not just dark and gritty, but they've been set in our world. Like I've always said, we want to believe that superheroes exist outside our doors or outside our windows. We want to look out the window and see Superman fly by. And certainly the MCU was started with that in mind. I mean, Iron Man was clearly set in the real world, and they slowly brought fantasy into it. But I think James Gunn's going to give us something totally different that we haven't seen before. He's going to take what he's done with Guardians of the Galaxy and Suicide Squad and Peacemaker and remove all the snark and the body humor and give us a world that is entirely fantastical from the get-go, which is something we really haven't seen before. Now, can he pull it off? I think he can. I think tonally, he's going to give us a superhero universe that's akin to what it was like to read DC Comics in the 70s and early 80s. And it's going to be something totally different, because it has to be.
Right.
And that's why what we're seeing is we've seen all of these pictures. And by the way, the pictures, I think, have only scratched the surface of what we're seeing. And I think when we see it, when people, I firmly believe that James Gunn is going to give us something completely different. It's going to be 180 degrees away from Joker and Joker 2. And the thing about this Joker is the first Joker cost $65 million and made over $1 billion. So it's one of the most profitable studio movies in forever. It's so funny. It's profitable studio movies. And I think that, I mean, it's not going to offset the $200 million they spent on Joker 2. But it's so funny because it's like they willfully did not give people the Joker movie that people wanted. And what I have been frustrated by is I don't think anybody's paying enough attention to what it actually is. They're more paying attention to what it isn't. And I understand it. I totally get it, because it's Joker. But, it's a very different experience, I think, certainly. But, man, it's always good to see you. So that was a great question. Now I'm going to be pondering this Night of the Living Dead question all day. We're doing a Midnight Metal tonight, and probably going to think about that too.
They did change the ending slightly in the remake, because he does become a zombie in the end of the remake, right?
Yeah, which I didn't.
So
I like the remake. I like the remake, but
yeah,
I didn't.
That switch in the end kind of took away that part of the social commentary of it, right? Because
it did.
He was a zombie in the end of the with what's his name, Tony Todd, right?
Tony Todd, yeah.
All right, Krizik is joining us next. Welcome, Krizik.
Hello.
What's going on, man?
Oh, a lot of stuff. I've been busy, just like you've been busy, trying to get stuff done. So I'll try to make this as quickly as possible. I'm glad we're talking about art and subjectivity versus objectivity today, because that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. So This will be interesting. This will be the first time. Just pay attention to my screen. Look at Rod's beautiful face.
Yes.
But look there, because I'll be using that to share things as I talk. So rather than you trying to clumsily figure out, oh, how do we share things in Zoom? I don't want to do that. Okay, so a question was asked to me by one of my colleagues at the other studio I'm at. What would it take for me to go back to my alma mater and teach the style of anime that I often get asked about that I do, which is the 80s style, the style popularized by Kawajiri? What would it take for me to go back to my alma mater to teach that? And just so that you're aware, that's this place right here. That's where I went to school after getting out of the Air Force. And I learned a lot of great stuff. That being said, I told him I probably wouldn't. And the reason is because as we've been sort of debating subjectivity versus objectivity, a lot of the anime that's coming out in the last 20 years, that means between the 2000s to now, okay, and is objectively well drawn. However, subjectively, I would say for me, and for a lot of the arguments I would have to make it to folks when I was doing my DreamWorks stuff, is not something that a lot of the old folks I used to work with want to see, because they would almost immediately always say, oh, well, that's just, characters with large eyes that are more caricatures than they are human renderings. And it was always an uphill battle for me in the studio set to try to convince them, well, no, anime has a place. It can be good if it's done the right way, but they had their arguments as well. So why am I saying all that? Well, the reason is, just to catch everyone up, is because the way that my indie studio is doing stuff now for our game, we use a lot of Kawajiri's and Terasawa's style. So we have model sheets that look like this. A lot of anime today, you won't see it drawn the way, you can't see my cursor, but you won't see it drawn the way that it is for this character. This one in particular is from Goku Midnight Eye, came out in 1986, 87. I won't tell you what this girl does, because then we'd get demonetized. So
I can imagine.
But that being said, Kawajiri would also go on to do OVAs like Cyber City 080808. And this is a male character, a for the time, very woke, they them type character from the 80s.
Sure.
So there you go. We were their first kids. Anyways.
Yeah, nobody remembers that. That all of this stuff, you can find all this kind of representation was being done, but people just conveniently forget about it all.
Exactly. And
so maddening.
I had to cite these examples, and this was citing those two panels of model sheets is what got a lot of my peers, my mentors, to calm down on the anime stuff, because I would then immediately reference back, well, look, for where I grew up, that's why I use Sterling as my head model, because we were both from the same small town. My other hometown hero that I learned all of my style from as an artist is Andrew Loomis. So if you look at this,
wow, look at that
Andrew's work, and he was the person that taught all commercial artists how to do their job.
Wow.
It's one of the reasons why I didn't mean to go hard on Modesty Maltese last time we were on this chat. That's why I'm not really big on modern art. I'm more of I was taught by guys like him and Frazetta, so it's like that's how I learned how to do my art, because it was supposed to be.
I mean, I'm a big Robert McGinnis fan.
Yeah. That being said,
that's
if I go back to that, you can see, line for line, this is going to be very expensive to animate. We're talking about doing this on twos. About 12 drawings for 24 frames per second.
Yeah.
Now, I say this because most of the kids that have asked me about this, the ones that are at my other studio, they grew up seeing this. All right.
Yep.
Now that this is no, don't start getting upset. I'm not trying to knock Jujutsu Kaisen. I know that there's a lot of stands for it. Yada yada yada.
Yeah, but I don't like the faces of the eyes.
Gege Utamate, Ukatami was born in 1992, and he hit it big, this design style. But he himself, going back to referential things being derivative, right? He was inspired by T.T. Kubo, who did Saint Seiya.
Right.
And this is exactly what a lot of my mentors were always referencing whenever they got upset with me talking about anime. And I love Saint Seiya. I love Kubo's style. I love Go Nagai style, who did Devilman.
Oh, me too.
Okay. So it's like, I don't have anything. These are objectively great styles, but they are more caricature than being commercial ready, as Andrew would say. Okay.
Right. Well, you can see that too. I mean, my love of Legends of the Galactic Heroes or Space Battleship Yamato, and now they're being remade.
Right.
And you can see the change. The change in style is quite jarring, actually.
It is. And again, it can be done right, but to be very clear and to be defensive of those that are Jujutsu Kaisen fans and Bleach fans and all that, it is faster for a production. I'm telling you, and you and I are talking now about this from a business point of view.
Yeah,
you know, it is faster for me, if you're my producer, for me to push this out in about 3 months' time than it is for me to push this out.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and lie to the audience here or anyone watching the stream that, oh no, it's just the same. It is not the same. I get that. But that's also why this style is often pushed more by committees today in Japan, because we can churn this out faster.
Yep.
You'll see more artists that'll copy this style. And it's really sad. There's a whole thing going on. I think NHK did a whole video series about young animators coming up that no longer have mentorship from folks like this, because those guys are gone. They passed away.
They're gone. Yeah.
Or they're retired completely out of the business.
I have to say, when Elizabeth graduated from Arts Center, I went to the graduation and they showed the kids' work. 90% of it was anime style stuff.
Exactly.
I was blown away.
And that's why one of my heads asked me at my other studio if I would go back to try to correct the ship.
I mean, it was unbelievable. I couldn't, and it was all a lot of it was beautiful work, but it was all so generic.
Yes, it blends together, and it's by design. It's like the Deep Impact Armageddon thing. You were there for that, Rob. That's why you're laughing. That's exactly what it is, because you know that there are some suits that are not part of the creative system that are making the decision, like putting 3D on the movie Dread, because that's the style of the time. That kind of fucking weird, idiotic decision making.
Wait a minute, though. The 3D in Dread is amazing.
No. It is, but labeling it on your marketing as being the main focus to go to watch it. Oh,
no.
Played on.
But I know it's just funny. But the thing about, like, look, Dread was shot in 3D. There's amazing 3D slow motion. It's amazing.
You get what I'm trying to say with the whole marketing thing, is that sometimes you'll lose your audience if they don't want that because you're marketing it wrong. That's
no, but I would say it's interesting you bring up Deep Impact, because I'm a Deep Impact guy.
Yeah,
but I love Armageddon.
Yeah, Armageddon to Deep Impact to robots, Transformers. That's all I'm going to say about that.
And but I would also say that, the idea of all the way back to like Lucifer's Hammer, the Larry Niven and Jerry Pournelle book I read in the 6th grade that I had taken away from me in music class because I couldn't stop reading it. But yeah, I mean, and by the way, let's add to that triptych Greenland.
Yeah,
another great comet hitting the Earth movie.
Yeah,
because you can never get enough of those.
No, you cannot. And
because you always get multiple impacts and then another bigger impact. I mean, it's just. And Yvonne Navarro wrote a great series of books about it. You can never go wrong. But I mean, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
So ultimately, just to wrap up my time, all I want to say is that, just because I wanted to present this one last panel. Going back to Loomis's stuff, when you were going to apply it to WDAS back in the 80s or the 90s, that's
look at that war.
You had to come like with at least with Glenn Keane, he or someone else needed to know that you were at this level of work before you could be attached to a production. And
100%.
the same thing with Fox Animation, because one of the things I was getting ready for was this. You know what that is?
I don't know.
It's by Bluth Production. Thank you. Exactly, Roberto. It is. That was one of the last things that Bluth was attached to that I was able to get mentored through.
Do you want to hear something that I shouldn't tell anybody, but I'm going to say this?
Go ahead.
So when Disney bought Fox, the first and only movie that they did a 4K transfer of. By the way, I've never seen this.
Oh, that's why you should watch it.
I know. The first movie they did a 4K transfer of was this. They haven't put it out yet.
Yeah,
but they did this first. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say I could recognize it as Don Bluth.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, they just announced a new transfer. Secret of Nim is coming out, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But look at the face.
Yeah,
look at that.
This is the thing that Don was, for what little I was able to deal with, he was very keen on making sure that you knew your fundamentals. And he would emphasize this. And it just happened to be, I was from the same town where Andrew's from. And it's like, hey, you should know this. He's your hometown guy. That's why I still use the phrase, he's your hometown guy. Him and John Cristofalusi would often say stuff like that. John K. being the creator of Ren and Stimpy. So,
of course.
So yeah, there you go. So that's.
But I mean, look at this classical artwork. I mean, I miss this. I miss it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, Krizik.
I love when Krizik comes on.
This is just it's almost like getting an education here. So
I know. Modesty Maltese, Krizik, me. We should all get hammered.
it's pretty amazing. Let me see here. We got Pedro Ferreira is coming up next. Welcome, Pedro. It's been a while. Good to see you.
Been a few shows, buddy.
Yeah, I've been away on holiday with my parents. We went to Portugal.
Did you go on holiday by mistake?
No, I needed a holiday.
Not like Richard E. Grant and with Nail and I. We've gone on holiday by mistake.
I didn't get out that much, unfortunately, because of my illness, because of my physical illness.
Oh, but how's Portugal? I've always wanted to go.
It was good. There was good weather. Only a few days it was actually raining, but mostly it was blue sky, which is what I like to see. It's great. Yeah. But I was because I didn't really get out that much. I mean, I did get out, but it was like my parents invited me to IKEA, so it was like.
You went to Portugal and then went to IKEA in Portugal?
Yeah, it was huge, like a really, really big IKEA. Like a really big IKEA. Like it's got like a restaurant and everything.
Yeah, did you go have meatballs? IKEA has very famous meatballs.
I had pork. I had pork fries and pork. Yeah, it was pork fries. I can't remember what the other thing.
I am sitting amidst Billy bookshelves from IKEA. Just saying, I have like 15 of them in here.
But I did catch up on some, like, I brought some old DVDs with me because we can't play, because my dad's got laptop that only plays DVDs. But I got to see, we can hook it up to the TV, so it was great. But I got to see old episodes of Ninja Turtles.
Wait a minute, you went to Portugal and you were watching Ninja Turtles episodes?
Yeah.
Dude.
I was doing
foreign countries have foreign girls, foreign booze, foreign food, foreign people you've never met.
I know I didn't get out that much because I wasn't feeling very well. But yeah, it was kind of sad. But I did get out, like I said, I did get out a bit. But I got to watch like Ninja Turtles episodes, and it was the set they released in 2014, where it was like the 10 best episodes according to TV.com, which no longer exists.
Yeah.
Some of the choices on there is like, how the hell is this on this set? Like they're not bad episodes, but I wouldn't say they're like 10 out of 10. They need to be on that. That's the problem with doing like going by the scores on TV.com, because it gives you like, you end up putting, if you put the 10 best episodes according to a rating, then you get some really weird like episodes that are on there. So there were some good episodes on there, but there were a couple like, why is this on here? It's like, okay, I get to watch them anyway again. I haven't seen them in a while. I did get to watch, there was one episode I got to watch. I'd never seen it before.
Wow.
It was from season 7. So it was from season 7, because I've only seen the first 6 seasons. I never got to see season 7. Season 7 is where they really did, like, David Wise pretty much wrote most of the season, and it was the last season in that style. It was the last season before they made it dark, before they tried to make it dark and revamp the show, and they got rid of all the reoccurring characters, because like season 8 they got rid of all the reoccurring characters. They write everyone out.
Why did they do that?
Because they wanted to revamp. They wanted to revamp it. They wanted to revamp it because the ratings were going down. People were starting to think Ninja Turtles was a fad. The third movie,
because it was 8 seasons long.
the third movie didn't do that great in the cinema. I did okay. It didn't do that great. It got bad reviews. I mean, when I say bad reviews, it was by fans. It was badly received. But they decided for season 8 to make it darker. Like they wanted to make it like Batman the Animated Series, which was doing well at the time.
Yeah.
But they ended up like when I say Batman the animated series, they ended up doing Biker Mice from Mars. It's more like when you watch season 8, it's more like Biker Mice from Mars in that style, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But the problem is the shift like in style is so different. Like the sky is red. They made the sky red, like some kind of apocalyptic thing happened in the sky. But I saw season 7. Season 7 is basically, David Wise probably knew this, that they were going to change the show, because season 7 is basically, it's got every single reoccurring character from previous episodes in it. So he's basically sending them all off, but he doesn't really resolve their characters. He just basically has them show up like as one final time. Maybe it's like the toy line or something like that.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah. But like so the episode I saw was called Night of the Rogues, and that's an episode that's basically you'll laugh when I say this, but it's basically a Rogues Gallery episode where Shredder is annoyed, so he basically hires all the villains from previous seasons as a Rogues Gallery, you know, like the way Batman.
I would watch that. That sounds good to me.
But of course, but the hilarious thing about it took them 7 years to do that. So
yeah, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Legion of Doom.
They wait 7 years. The funny thing about that episode is that, I mean, obviously they have all these characters come together to fight the turtles. Meanwhile, Krang and Shredder are doing their own thing. They're digging up ancient treasure. But all of these characters come together, and so they get captured. And so April O'Neil, she hires Casey Jones and Zach, the fifth, like the fan turtle or whatever, to come and to basically help them rescue the Ninja Turtles. So it's like they get some of the good guys as well to come back to do it. But the thing that's quite funny about that episode is that it has two characters in there called Anthrax and Scumbug, right? And those characters, when Shredder says, "Oh, you remember all these characters from previous seasons," those two characters never appeared in the show before. That was their first time.
So they've retconned the past, is what you're saying.
Well, so my theory, and a lot of other people's theory, is they expect the fans to know them from the toy line. But when you're looking, if you just ignore the toy line, they never got an episode. They never got an origin episode.
But that's pretty cool that they delved into that they didn't just make something up out of whole cloth. They're bringing it out of the toy line. That must have been exciting.
They just brought out anything. But what I loved about the episode, because David Wise, like the writing was always, anybody who says that the episode was cheesy, the episodes are cheesy, yeah, they're cheesy. But the show always had better writing than people would say it did, because the show was very self-aware. And what I love about this particular episode is they kept cutting back, because Shredder at the beginning has basically throws Bebop and Rocksteady into the Technotron basement because he's fed up with them. What I love is that the episode keeps cutting back to them in the basement, saying, "So, what do you want to do now?"
Wow.
It's quite funny, but anyway, yeah.
Dude, it's good to see you. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you came back from Portugal. I will never forgive you for watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episodes in Portugal. My God, man. Come on. Portugal. I've wanted to go there my whole life. I would never be inside if I went to Portugal. Well, except, of course, if I met somebody. Oh, wait, I can't do that. Elizabeth, are you around? No, she's not. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Elizabeth would come with you, and then you have an excuse to not get out and about.
That's true. That's true. I don't go anywhere without Elizabeth.
After a night out in Portugal, you never know what's going to happen the next day.
I want to go to Portugal, because right now, my favorite film festival of all time is happening, Sitges. Right outside 20 kilometers south of Barcelona, in Sitges, the town, my favorite. I've been there 4 to 5 times. I love Sitges, and it's happening right now. And Mick Garris is on the jury. Mike Flanagan is there. The director, Coraline Fouget she's there.
Wow.
Oh man, God damn.
It's a beautiful town too.
Oh, it's incredible.
And and people love to hang out and party.
It's a film festival.
middle of the night.
First of all, it's the gay destination spot of that part of Europe from May to October, and then there's the transition when the season ends and it turns into a science fiction, fantasy, and horror film festival. The last time I was there, Jack Daniels sponsored an undead walk where everybody dressed up as zombies going through those little streets, the old ancient. It was the greatest thing ever.
Amazing.
I was there. The last time I went was in 2011, man.
Wow.
They showed my Femme Fatales episodes. It was awesome.
Well, we got Stubble
Free
coming
Enterprise
up
at its
next.
world premiere in Stitches.
Oh yeah, that's right. We got Stubble McShave coming up next year. Welcome, Stubble. Should
What
be
is
able to
going
join
on,
us.
my
Welcome,
man?
my friend?
Roberto, before you start the clock,
Yeah.
I must apologize to you because I called you a serial killer and a musical dictator. I didn't. I only meant it in jest. I didn't mean it seriously.
I take it all in stride, Stubble. You
Yeah.
know, in some circles that might even be welcome. So no worries.
Double, I take everything you say incredibly seriously, and if you were to say that about me, I would take great offense and walk away. I'd probably block you on all social media. You'd be done. You'd be dead to me. You know, all these Jim Butcher books out the window. Come on.
Yeah.
You have 2 shelves in my Robservatory right over there.
Yeah. Well, I'm honored.
And I got leather bound Brandon Sanderson's books from you. But if you were to say that about me, you're dead to me. Just saying.
Right. But I said it to Roberto, so we're good.
Okay, that's good. You didn't say it to me.
Yeah.
We're good. We'll always be good. By the
Yeah.
way, you turned me on to Brandon Sanderson, and I'm obsessed with his 3 rules of magic systems, which I think everybody should. If you're going to write anything, I'm gonna send. You know, I've talked about it now, all because of you. I wouldn't know anything about Wheel of Time. I wouldn't know anything about any of that. Without why
Right.
the first, yeah. How many? You've sent me 3 Wheel of Time books? 2, 1. I don't know, I think 3.
Yeah. Whatever. But you know, your thousands show that's coming up.
Yes. By the way,
sent you
you're all on the. Everybody who sent me a thing is all on the 1000th show.
Yeah. Because I sent you an email, I didn't.
Yeah, I got. I
reply,
didn't.
so-
I haven't. I've just been so ensconced in. But yeah, you're all. Everybody who sent me an email, I've got it all. I know. Cyan, who's coming up, I got his or hers.
Yeah.
Theirs. I don't want to say. I never want to say. It's usually his, but
Yeah.
you know.
I was just wondering.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Everybody's on. I'm going to try and publish a schedule because I have to find out internationally what time zone people are at, because I'm going to do a 16-hour show.
Yeah.
It's the funny thing is YouTube only allows you to upload 12 hours. So I'm going to have to do 12 hours, stop, and then start again.
Yeah.
But I'll do that right away. But I still have to figure out where everybody's going to be. So once I have everybody, I mean, I think I've got like 10 people or 15 people. So I'm going to send out a group email and find out, because I don't know. So for anybody, and if we run longer, we can go, because I'm telling this to everybody. Anybody who wants to be on the 1000th show, you can obviously send me an email to rmburnett1701@gmail.com. Put Robservations 1000 in the subject, and then tell me what you want to talk about. And everyone is going to get. I'm going to give everybody a half an hour. So that'll be 32 people total, you know. So although it could go longer, but it's so I'm trying to figure all that out, and who's going to be, because I have people from Australia. I think Kelvin wants to be on. You're in Sweden, which is what I wanted. I wanted to do, you know, people in all different time zones and imagination connoisseurs the world over. So yes.
So okay.
So now we'll start the clock.
Right. But you know, the Penguin.
What do you think?
I think it's the best. It's arguably the best thing on TV this year.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. I love it.
I don't know where it will fall in relation to Shogun and those other, but so far, if it's continuing in this fashion, it may be the best thing this year.
Well, it's nice to know. It's nice to see a creative team that knew what they were doing and set out to do something and achieve it.
Yeah. So, but so Love it. Hope it's sticks the landing and everything.
It's
Yeah.
really interesting that we can now compare and contrast two Batman villains
Yeah.
with Joker Folie et Deux in theaters and Penguin. One is leaning into the comics and one is leaning out of the comics.
Yeah,
So,
but both are told in a non-traditional way.
yes.
Yeah. By the way, do you know what day it is today?
It's October 5th.
It's also James Bond Day.
Oh, right. That's right.
It's 62 years since the first Bond.
Wow.
So,
which opened in 62.
yeah. So 62 and 62, right?
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, how do you see it continuing? Because it feels like it's played its part more or less. It's a Cold War thing.
Yeah, I look, as much as I like, I love James Bond. My franchises growing up were Star Trek, Planet of the Apes, and James Bond. Yeah. And I love James Bond movies. They meant so much to me. The Daniel Craig era, to me, proved you went from I Casino Royale, great, going back and starting the franchise, and I think the other four Daniel Craig Bonds killed the franchise.
Yeah,
I think they completely killed the franchise. No Time to Die. I never thought, like, I've watched Spectre more times than No Time to Die, and I don't even like Spectre very much. I don't like Skyfall.
Yeah,
I mean,
the only thing where it can survive, I think, if they do it a period show.
Yeah, I mean, they could, but James Bond was already. I mean, we already got 60s Bond films in the 60s, and I think the real problem is, what has happened is James Bond movies were movies about the West, where you had the first, second, and third world, and now what's happening is you have like the entire Middle East, and because now you've got asymmetric warfare, and you have the mullahs in Iran that really haven't changed philosophy from the 14th century, who have now become world players, and they've got nuclear weapons, and they're people. Here's the problem that I think about like James Bond movies is James Bond believes, as does the West, that we want to live. Yeah. We want to survive. We want to survive. We want to build culture. We don't believe in dying because we know we're going to get there soon enough.
Yeah.
But when
the West doesn't have a singular vision about what they want anymore.
No, they don't. And now with look, what Western civilization did was amazing. But the fact is, this idea, what I find, and it's difficult to talk about this because people get upset. I'm a civilizationist, and James Bond is a civilizationist. The man was drinking shaken vodka martini, shaken not stirred, finding beautiful women, loving beautiful art. Even he only worked at the upper echelons of civilization, and even the villains, like when Hugo Drax or Karl Stromberg wants to destroy the world. He wants to bring all the most beautiful people, put them in their undersea city or in space, and repopulate the planet with the best of the best.
Yeah.
We don't believe that anymore. We believe now that mediocrity is something to celebrate. We don't believe in meritocracy. We don't believe in the best of the best. We don't believe in wanting to be elite. We believe that mediocrity is now something that's okay. And that's such a weird place to be. I mean, I always thought, like, you try and be the best person you can be. But now it's like, no. We have to be inclusive of everybody. Well, that leads to death in the natural world, in the natural order of things. Like, James Bond was an apex fucking predator. He knew everything. He was the smartest motherfucker in the room. He knew, like, he could tell you what champagne should be chilled at and what caviar from the Black Sea or whatever. He knew everything because he was incredibly highly educated. He was a military man. He was a commander in the British Navy. He was all of these things that now in the West we think, fuck that.
Yeah.
Everybody should get a trophy.
Yeah.
And in that world, James Bond no longer exists. James Bond would be fucking canceled if he was an actual operative for MI6. You know what? He's a colonizer. He's this, he's that. He's like, okay, you know what? Let these third world, let these non-religious Reformation, no age of enlightenment motherfuckers, you take the planet. Everybody who's mediocre, you guys go ahead and do what you want.
Yeah.
James Bond does not work today. Unless we want to be the best people we can be, unless people want to do the work, James Bond is for a society of people that want to put in the work.
Yeah.
We don't.
Before my time is up.
I'm sorry, everyone's going to be like, Rob, what are you saying? I'm saying we don't want to be the best people we can be anymore.
Yeah.
James Bond wants us to be.
Yeah. No one would, caviar and
yeah, we can't have that. All of that's bad. All of that's vestiges of colonizers and this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, because nobody wants to be the best people they can be. They want to be, oh, what's that?
That's the second book in my reread.
You can weightlift with that. Wait, what book is that though?
It's the second book in the Stormlight Archive.
Show us the spine.
The spine.
Yeah, face the spine to the camera.
So do you mean like that, or like?
Yeah,
that?
like that. No, the spine, so we can see the title, so I can bring it up higher. Wow.
And that's the
my God.
And that's the one that I'm going to get in a few weeks, I hope.
Wow.
Yeah, but I've also before Roberto, hold on for a second.
It's okay.
I was down with my iron fist.
I was pontificating about why James Bond doesn't work. By the way, I stand by that. It doesn't. Bond is you know what? As M said in GoldenEye, you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur. You're a product of the Cold War.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I also started a book called A Memory Called Empire. And that's a science fiction book. But I'm just starting it. But the first sentence is one of my favorite sentences because it describes a vast and very active universe or, civilization. And I'll just read it here. In Texikalan, these things are ceaseless, star charts and disembarkments.
I like that.
That sentence, just a very active, very vast space empire. I like that description. Anyway,
that's a great idea. It's great.
Yeah. And
Stella, what's the name of that book again?
A Memory Called Empire. I just started it. I'm not sure how good it is, but just talking about skills. Reading is a skill that many loses.
I can't wait to talk about that. There's an Atlantic article that I was going to read the other night, but I figured I was already on too much of a rant about how no one's reading. Even in schools, they're not even assigning books to read.
Yeah, and audiobooks. Audiobooks have their place. I use it when I go to the gym and when I drive and stuff. But I know many people who started audiobooks and can't go back to reading. They lost the skills after a few years. So, yeah. Anyway, my time is up for a few minutes, so let's other people have their say.
Yeah.
Pleasure as always, Pablo. Great to see you.
Great to see you, man. Always a pleasure. Always having him around is great. I'm sure people are canceling me on Twitter as we speak about my thoughts about James Bond.
I remember talking to somebody recently about, not recently, but when No Time to Die came out, for better or for worse. But if somebody asked me, hey, what did you do yesterday? And I said, I went to go see the new James Bond movie. It's like, really? Isn't he like really misogynistic? I'm like, man, I can't even have like a conversation about going to see a movie with my son. So.
It's because every day of his life, he might die.
Yeah.
So the whole point is that if you're gonna be a secret agent that's saving the world, where every last breath or every breath you take could be your last, why wouldn't you want the finest liquor, the finest cars, the finest women, the finest suits, the finest everything?
Yeah.
Because you're gonna die saving the human race.
And
That's
he
what I think.
has no time to die. We've got
Except he
we've
did.
got-
That movie, James Bond dies, and at the end credits it says James Bond will return.
I know. No, I mean, it was the ending of the novel You Only Live Twice, except they didn't he didn't survive, so I don't understand. We have a couple of super chats here. RTNZ. Hail, Bob and Roberto on the PGS. And the PGS can't join you today, but hoping everyone is well. Every year.
Let me guess. There's
Yeah.
a Chuck Norris joke in our future.
Yes. It says every year the flu gets a shot to protect it from Chuck Norris. So there you go. And next we have Toy Master, who sent, I think it's Swedish krona, the 27 Swedish krona. When do we get the Heller Rosenbaum 6th scale?
Oh, that's a great idea.
Where's the
Wow.
the customizer or the
Wow, let me tell you something. That is a phenomenal. You know what?
stretch goal?
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have to check. There's so many levels of approvals that I would have to get on that. But we did see the poster.
Yeah.
Thanks to Bartos.
Yeah.
Look, I'll tell you something. I can't imagine a better collaborator than him.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael Rosenbaum has been amazing during this whole process. And I am so pleased with the work that he's done. And he has been a joy to work with. And just for his sake, everyone cross their fingers and hope the Mets defeat the Phillies. He would appreciate that. I know he would appreciate that very much. But he's phenomenal. He's absolutely phenomenal in this role. And I have to say, I know it's only an audio drama, but between Max Allan Collins' script and all the actors that we have, I mean, the cast is absolutely incredible. And by the way, we're going to launch this thing at the end of the month. The first episode, I've edited the whole first episode together. It's got to be mixed and all that. But I mean, the first episode has Louis Lombardi from The Sopranos in 24. It's got Savario Guerrera, also from the Larry, not Larry Sanders. Is it Larry Sanders? No. That's Gary Sanders. You know, the Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
You've got PJ Byrne from Wolf of Wall Street and many other things, who's starring in the new Rainmaker series. You have David Strathairn, and you have Jeffrey Combs, Herbert West in the first episode.
Yeah.
So it's all star-studded.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Another super chat just came in for $4.99. Thank you so much to the Slacker guy. Any excitement or optimism about Nacelle Toys Star Trek license, TOS through Enterprise and pre-2009 movies?
Well, okay, Nacelle Toys, the people that comes from the movies that made us and all that, they're great. They're great. Here's my problem with what we've seen. X06, who's making the Star Trek, the great licenses for Star Trek have been Round 2, obviously models what they're doing now, and they've been doing a phenomenal. They're putting out a Cerritos model, even though I don't give a shit about that ship, but they've done such a good job with all the model kits, repopping the old AMT stuff, and then you have X06 doing the 12-inch museum grade action figures, who have been killing it. They're going to start shipping Commander Kruge from Star Trek 3, which looks like a banger figure. And then, of course, the new Eagle Moss fan home is doing, they're taking over what Eagle Moss was doing with the little ships. So, look, I think the problem, I don't know what they're going to do, but Star Trek, the people that are buying Star Trek figures, I mean, Playmates crashed and burned with their new line of figures.
Yeah.
They it didn't work.
Super
If you-
7's line also didn't do anything.
yeah, it didn't do anything, and it's because, first of all of the new Star Trek licensees are hampered by the fact that they have to include modern Star Trek in their licenses,
Oh,
but those things are not selling. I will say I did buy the X06 Pike, which is a
Pike.
great figure. You can't see it here, but the X06 Spock, which I bought reluctantly, but I like Ethan Peck's Spock. I just hate the way he's written and what they've done to Spock in modern Trek. But no one wants modern Trek figures. The people that watch modern Trek are younger people that are not buying toys anyway.
Yeah.
So the real question is how you have a new Star Trek license. What are you going to do to get people to buy your figures?
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer to that. I know that X06 is going strong, but I'm sure that, Nanjin Tam, who's running that, is a crazy man, and I love him for it.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's going to survive, but we'll see what they do.
Well, and the Playmates problem too is that Playmates has there's so much vintage product in the market still in box and going even cheaper than these new figures. It's
right.
If you want to collect Star Trek, you collect the original stuff. You can go on eBay and get massive lots of carded Playmates toys for cheaper than the retail price when they came out. So
and those Playmates toys are more fun.
Yeah,
they were more fun. I mean, in the style, they're stylized, but they're more fun.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're a little goofy. They're meant to be kind of toys, but that's part of the charm.
I mean, McFarlane didn't do well with the Star Trek license either.
Yeah,
they don't know. I don't know what Nacelle toys.
Yeah, I don't know what
good
Nacelle's
on them.
gonna do. I don't know if you've seen any of the other toy lines. They've been bringing back really kind of a little bit more deep cut toy lines, like the biker's mice from Mars and other things that are more very kind of niche. So maybe they're not as concerned with a broader audience because their toy lines are pretty niche, but not really sure.
I mean, and by the way, I mean, I'm no longer, I think the adult collector market, you look at what's the name of the company that's putting out the 1-to-1 scale replicas? They just sold out. Factory. They just sold out of their new phaser replica, the tricorder replicas and all that they're making. That's what the people that are collecting Star Trek stuff want high-end stuff.
Yeah.
They're not collecting little unless you do like a Black Series line.
Yeah.
Like if you do a 12th scale figure line, that might succeed. But they have to be great.
Yeah.
And you're competing against people that are Star Trek fans are buying the X06 figures. You're competing against that.
It feels like when it comes to figures, X06 has kind of cornered that market really well. And outside of that, it's the high-end props, what you're saying. Yeah,
high-end props, and then the model kits. The model kits have been great, and because people are the Star Trek, and I will say, like, look at Playmates. I have a Playmates. Martino Simone gave me a Playmates Enterprise and a Bird of Prey. Those are great for toys.
Yeah,
great.
I don't think Playmobil has gotten the mileage out of the license as they thought they were going to get.
No, I don't think you can find that stuff. But by the way, they did a great job.
Yeah. No.
Those are both incredible pieces. I want to get another Enterprise.
Yeah.
So I can have it lower. I mean, it's what a great toy.
Yeah.
But I think Playmobil didn't get mileage out of all. They got the A-Team license. They got the Magnum PI license. They did a fucking great Knight Rider. They did a great job. But nobody buys that. People don't even know what that is. They're appealing to
Magnum PI.
I know I have it. I got it. Martino got it.
They did James Bond.
I've got that
Aston
too.
Martin.
The Aston Martin.
Yeah.
And that's the real problem is, well, this is a whole different discussion, but
I know.
but we're getting derailed. But yeah, the problem with licensed toys. I mean, look, man, I want to get into the licensed toy market. If I promise you this, I say this now on a live stream. If I have to make a bootleg figure, if I started my line of figures, I would do a line. Here's what I want to do. for a very small select group of people. If I won the lottery or if True Noir makes some money, I want to start a line of 12-inch bespoke, beautiful figures of 70s apocalyptic movies. Logan's Run, Zardoz, Soylent Green, the Omega Man. No one's going to buy them, but I'm going to make them. I want Logan, Jessica, Francis, and Box. 4 figures from Logan's Run. I want to make Sean Connery and Charlotte Rampling from Zardoz.
Oh my God.
And an interactive Zardoz head that fires guns out of its mouth. Come on, and make it like, make it like this big.
Oh yeah.
Who wouldn't want a Zardoz head like that? Everybody,
Zardoz had played
kids
it.
love Zardoz.
Yeah.
And then you make Charlton Heston from the Omega Man, and you make his lady friend, the great, and with a big, real rooted hair fro.
Yeah.
And then you make Anthony Zerbe. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Me and the 5 other people that would buy them.
Well, I think, Rob, maybe with that veering off the path here, we are going to say goodbye to our friends on YouTube. So we will continue the conversation, of course, in the Zoom call until all calls are done. But it's time to play the music for ourselves here. So Rob,
can we do that? Can we play ourselves off?
Let me see if I can do it. Hold on. I think if I set it down, yeah. Hold on. Okay. Let me. I just want to put the Oscar one. Okay. So here we go. And with that, Rob, we say goodbye. Rob,
thank you to my agent. Thank you to God. Thank you to my mom and dad. Thank you to my dogs. Thank you all.
Any upcoming shows this tonight or tomorrow?
Well, I thought we were going to do a Midnight Metal tonight, but I haven't really heard back from Dave Parker. He called me and said, "Hey, we're going to do a Midnight Metal." I don't know. If not, then I'll do a show myself.
All right.
But I'm going to talk about books. I want to read this Atlantic article about no one reads anymore, and they're not teaching kids how to read. And I'm like, what the fuck?
All right.
And then, of course, Dieter and I will be back tomorrow.
That's right. Okay.
Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow Dieter and I will be back.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us once again. The conversation continues on Zoom offline, but goodbye to our friends on YouTube. And remember, you too can join these calls by becoming a member of the Burnettwork. So see you next time, guys.
In a world where only members get to join in the fun.